Hello, Gulsana. My name is Ellen, and I'll be correcting this essay for you today. So I understand that you are preparing for the IELTS for the first time. So let's take a look at this task 2. It's about ex-prisoners and if they are the best people to talk to youngsters about crime. Let's see what you wrote here. A number of people with criminal record turn to law-abiding citizens, so according to some, these people are appropriate to give the notion teenagers about risks of offending a crime. In my opinion, I agree that conversation with ex-convict would be beneficial for young people to realize the consequences of committing the crime by hearing it from a person who experienced it himself. Okay, so on the whole, this is fine. You included much of what you're supposed to in your introduction. So far, so good. However, there were a number of grammatical mistakes in the introduction, so we really do need to clean those up. Let's try it again from the beginning. A number of people with criminal records have become law-abiding citizens. Or even better than that, better than a number of, which seems kind of limited, you could say many or numerous. So why don't we try that? Numerous people with criminal records have turned or have become law-abiding citizens. So according to some, comma, these people are, now you wrote appropriate. If you look at the task, it says the best people. So to use the word appropriate is not really, it doesn't really carry the same meaning. What you could have said here is these people are the most appropriate. That would have been more effective. That would have been more accurate. And then I didn't understand this here. The notion teenagers about the risk. There's something grammatically happening. It didn't really make sense. I wasn't sure what you were trying to say. So let's try it a little differently. These people are the most appropriate to inform teenagers about the risks of committing a crime, not offending. In my opinion, comma goes directly, like glued to the word, not a space after it. I agree that conversations with an S, with ex-convicts with an S, would be beneficial for young people to realize the consequences of committing a crime by hearing it from the person who experienced it himself. Okay, so those were all the grammatical mistakes, lexical mistakes. You want to be accurate here. You want to be as accurate as possible because this is the first impression the examiner is going to have of your writing. So you want this impression to be a strong one. Let's move on. A good reason to allow teenagers to communicate with offenders is that people who were in jail can describe the real picture of, now here, jail. You're missing an opportunity to have some good cohesion here. So let's try this. People who were in jail can describe the real picture of being incarcerated. Okay, that's one word, but that's a nicer way of saying this. The offender would share unpleasant moments during the trial procedures and what terrible conditions and problems in prison exist in reality. No R here. For instance, the tedious daily routine or inadequate living conditions in prison can have a negative effect on physical and mental health. Now, here I think you needed to extend this a little further. So, teenagers would learn about these from ex-prisoners, and this may persuade them to avoid being involved or getting involved in crime. Okay? That would have been a nice way to wrap this up and to develop it just a little further. Another point to consider is that it would be believable for teenagers to hear from witnessed person. I don't know what that means. What do you mean a witnessed person? Not really sure. If teachers or parents make efforts to explain the negative effect of committing a crime, most of the teenagers would definitely not take their words into consideration, word order here. However, by meeting a real example, youngsters might realize how their life might be after acting against the law, and later in life, this occasion would subconsciously remind them about potential problems of committing an offense. Okay, I see what you're saying. So you don't mean witnessed person, you mean firsthand experience. You mean something like that. Let's see how you could have said it. So another point to consider is that it would be more, not believable, you want a different word here, more persuasive for teenagers to hear from first-hand experience. Okay? All right. Fine. In conclusion, becoming aware of dangers of turning to crime by having conversations with people who went through it and shared experience would probably reduce juvenile crime. Get rid of the. Okay, so I thought you did a nice job of developing this. Your paragraphing was good. It needed a little work in a number of areas. Grammar, consistently, you had some issues throughout this essay. They weren't serious issues, but they were fairly consistent. You could see that I had to correct pretty regularly. Let's see, what else did I want to tell you? I also mentioned to you there was one or two places where I thought you should have developed maybe a little more, said a little more to make it more fully developed. But other than that, I thought it was fine. You had some vocabulary mistakes as well, so you need to work on those issues. All in all, it was a good essay. I would have to say that I think it is about where you said you were on the CEFR scale. So I do see it being around there. You didn't tell me what score you need. You just told me where you were on the CEFR. So yeah, I mean, like I said, it's good, but if you need to get a higher score, then you need to improve your overall English, I think. That would be an important step to take. Your understanding of the structure is good. So like I said, it needs a little bit of development, but for me, grammar and vocabulary need work, especially if you're going to be teaching English as well. Okay, so Gulsana, I'd like to see you on the online course. I'd love to see what you're doing with Task 1, because as you know, Task 1 is rather challenging for a lot of IELTS students. So hopefully we can see you on the course. We'd love to have you there, and we'd love to help you progress and continue on your IELTS journey. So I hope to see more of your work soon. I want to wish you lots and lots of luck.